Hi guys, Eric Pavey here. It's around the same time as we did yesterday's video, 4:25 Eastern Standard Time, 1:25 Pacific. And we're talking about Big Al's All Access. And guys, I'm going to say this again. You're more than welcome to head over to PickDawgz.com, purchase the premium selections. But we were talking about this off air. When you go to PickDawgz.com, let's say on a Saturday, if you're buying one individual day, you're getting that play or plays that Al said. You're not getting the whole card. So, if you buy a 3-day package, and let's say you start on Saturday, you're going to get the whole card. And then people will reach out to me and they'll say, well, I didn't get that 13-4, or I didn't get that 11-2, or I didn't. If you want the volume, like I said, and you're someone watching this video, you want to follow the system. I just talked to a client, a premium client of yours, Al, and he said, look, I got to take a break. I'm down 20,000 this season because he's been mismanaging his bankroll, and we're only in week 2. So, the reality is, guys, one of the values of the All Access, it's not only the games, it's that if you're following the rating system, as we've discussed, we're telling you how much to bet, percentage. I don't want to say we're giving you a dollar amount, but we're showing you that you should follow a system. The way I tell most clients, Al, is 1% per unit. If you have a $10,000 account and you're betting 1% per unit, you're betting $100 a unit. You're betting $100 to $1,000 a game. And I see a lot of what I call the user error, Al. And again, I know your response is they can do whatever they want to do. Of course, we know that. But it's I like one game more than the other, and then unfortunately picking one of the losers that they liked more. When you're getting the All Access, you're a $50 per unit better. You're betting 50 on a 1 unit. You're betting 500 on a 10 unit. And therefore, we're taking a lot of the mental work out of you deciding which games you should bet more on, which games you should bet less on. And you know what? It worked out last year. 120 units flat bet if you bet every game the same versus 507 units. So, I had one of our clients we discussed off air. He says, I'm the most unlucky guy in the world because the game that I love the most. Okay, just stick to the unit betting system. The whole point of the unit betting system is that you're assessing a value 1 to 10 and you're following it. And I think handicapping the handicappers, not liking a play that Al has as a 6 unit versus loving a play that's a 2 unit usually is going to backfire long term, Al.
Well, I don't even know. I mean, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said, but I think customers do it even with the premium side.
Yes.
The plays are not even rated. They'll be
Yes.
like, oh, he gave me 6 games today, but I really love the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to load up on that one.
Yes. This is a lot of the conversations that I have before they become All Access members. And I'll say to somebody like, go to the leaderboard. He was 19-9. How did you figure a way to lose on the 9? And I feel bad. I said to this client, I generally feel bad when I hear these stories because it's hard enough in this business to do one thing, and that's win. And then you make it your job even harder when you start analyzing and hyper-focusing on the games that you want. I guess the word is confirmation bias, Al. They love a game. You have
it's for any reason. It could be that the game they love is the game that's on TV, and that's the game they want to watch at night. Whereas we have Old Dominion over Virginia Tech. It's not on TV. They're not caring about it, right? So there's a lot of reasons why some games clients bet more than others. I would guess a lot of it has to do with what's on TV.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna. The client, he watches our videos. Look, we know you had a losing Sunday, but one of your winners was the Giants, and he's a Dallas Cowboy freak, so he bets 10,000 on the Dallas Cowboys. And I said, this is the stuff, like you said, they can do whatever they want to do once they pay. And I see you shaking your head, and we obviously know that we can only lead a horse to water, we can't make him drink. And I've said this, Al, for years prior to hooking up with you, which is that the difference between the managed money world of the financial world and Wall Street, and they have these quote unquote hedge fund managers, is that the client, he invests into the hedge fund or the mutual fund, and he can't mess it up. right? If they want to do this, they want to do that. We're giving the power to the client. He's logging into his offshore account. He's logging into his credit account. He's logging into his legal sports betting account. In the end of the day, all you can do is put out the plays. You can't make a play 'em.
Yes.
Were you involved or did you like take note of the managed betting accounts prior to the legalization of wagering that they had in Vegas for a few years? Where you could actually send the money to a quote unquote manager. He would do the work for you.
No.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you
No.
ever had clients that told you any stories about it but even then I would have clients that would send money off. They would have a guy manage the account and then they would disagree with the play and they would go the other way in their own account. So it was like the insanity of sports wagering. So, I would say to clients early on in the season, you can always see the record at PickDawgz.com without the ratings in it. And obviously there could be more plays with the ratings, but you never want to look at that record and see a non-rated rating system and look at the records and then question how you wound up betting more losers than winners. I'm looking at college football right now, Al. I'm looking at the leaderboard while we're talking. You're 19-9. Don't be the guy that finds a way to lose more money on the 9 games, unless obviously Al rated those 9 games higher if you're an all access member. You don't want to be that guy. I'm looking at the NFL right now. What were you, 1-4 in the NFL?
1-5 after Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you combine NFL and college, we are 20-14.
And even if you flat bet them, like I said, you're up money less. The vig, it is what
I mean, there's nothing wrong with 20-14. That's 59%. But it's I mean, we could talk on and on and on. You're 20-14, but you're also 1-5 your last 6. And there's a lot of guys who would say, yeah, but I really loaded up in the NFL because you were hot. And, it's just like there's always a reason.
The reason why I tell these stories is I want people to put this rings true to a lot of people that watch these videos. They go, yeah, that was me. Like I had a client and when I say I had a client, you had a client, a premium client, and he got Sunday's games, and this is the logic of him. He's due to win an NFL game, so he loaded up on Oakland. What are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? And I said, there's no such thing. I always say, I have a friend of mine. I walked into his office in Vegas once. He had a parlay blown up that his father bet like back in the 60s where he was 0-13 on the parlay. And it reminded him that anything is possible. He hit the parlay reverse. He had an NFL parlay that went 0-13. I'll tell you his name off air. You know him. But the moral of the story was...
I'm confused. They pay on a parlay that goes
No,
13?
he was saying he blew up the ticket. He had it framed and he blew it up. Like if they paid...
Okay.
It was the can you believe I bet a parlay and not only did I lose the parlay, I lost every game in the parlay, to remind him every day when he went into handicap and do his work that yes, you could lose every game on the board and it is possible. And it was funny but the reality is, I always say to people that there is no such thing as due to win or due to lose. It's just do the work.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, it's a really good handicapper. If I'm gonna say go, last year, I think what did we hit last year? 57%, something.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Let's just say really good handicapper is going to win 55%. You have no idea what the pattern of wins and losses is going to be. There will be some time in the season where we will win, 9 in a row and we will lose 9 in a row. It's just the way it is.
Exactly. So with that being said, guys, it's about the system with the all access, the ratings 1 to 10. My goal for everybody watching this video is if you want to be like minimally, the easiest way to do it is take your max bet divided by 10. I prefer it to be a minimum of 1%. If you're betting, that's why I say if you have somebody that's betting $10,000 on a 10-unit play, they should have a $100,000 bankroll. They're betting $1,000 on a 1-unit. They're betting $10,000 on a 10-unit. If you want to be less aggressive, I always say 0.5%. So you cut it in half. You know, you have a $100,000 bankroll, you're betting 500 a unit, 5,000, 500 to 5,000. This way, you know, you're not going to destroy yourself. I see these people in the comments, they'll say things like, this game killed me. The only reason why a game kills somebody is because they're overbetting too high a percentage of their bankroll. And you and I both know, like, that you just nailed it. You know, it's just like the stock market. You don't get to determine the ebb and flow, or as professional betting circles, the variance of these games. And I think that the variance is somebody, you know, I said to somebody once a long time ago, if you're 60 and 40, you know, 60%, let's say let's say you had 100 games, you won 60 and you lost 40. It's nice telling you that after the fact, but I never told you how I got there. You know, I could be 0 and 15. So with that being said, this is a little Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek brain session for you guys before you head into the weekend. If you're somebody that's going to pick up the All Access, reach out to me at 443-957-1006. You know, there's no secret. The guys that join the All Access are guys that are looking to treat their wagering as a business. And again, a lot of the stuff we talk about isn't spending an hour talking about dissecting a game. It's I like to say, get the heads right of the bettors out there. Because I always say, you can have all the winners in the world, Al. If your head isn't right, you're going to find a way to blow it up. So with that being said, what are you looking at for this Wednesday's complimentary selection?
Yeah, I mean, the Golden State Valkyries, they kind of got a raw deal. They have to play in San Jose for this playoff game on Wednesday night. They're down 1-0 in the series, you know, against the number 1 seed, the Minnesota LYNX. So it was always going to be an uphill battle. But now, you know, they booked their home in San Francisco to a different event. I don't know what's going on there, if it's a concert or whatever it is, but they have to play, you know, all the way in San Jose tonight. So again, a pretty raw deal for Golden State. I'm still going to take them plus the points. I want to go against the number 1 seeded LYNX. When you take a look at how number 1 seeds do in the playoffs, if they're off a win by 14 or more points, they're 0-6-1 ATS going back to 2014 when they're playing also away from home. So that's the situation here. Minnesota's playing away from home. Yes, it's a neutral court, but it's still away from home. And we're just going to go against the number 1 seed off a blowout win. They won that game on, I think it was Sunday night by 25 points.
There you go, guys. We're going to take the Golden State Valkyries plus the points. And as always, reach out for the All Access. Good day and good luck.